fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head D tuned in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Versailles, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Welcome, folks, to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. Back in our sound room tonight, two guys we like to call TK and Heavy D. We're going to be talking to them here in just a few minutes. And Ken, another fun night on FRL. We're going to be talking a lot of SCAL girls and boys basketball. And we're going to step over to the MAC and talk about a big girls showdown on Thursday night.
Absolutely, we are, Craig. Big review of this week in Shelby County League basketball, boys and girls. Look on upcoming games for the weekend, Craig. But the biggest game on tap all week is in the MAC, and we're talking some girls basketball tonight. The Versailles Lady Tigers take on the Minster Wildcats in a showdown of the top two teams in the MAC. We can't wait to talk to the head coach of the Versailles Tigers. That's Jacki Stonebraker.
I'm awfully excited about that for sole supremacy of first place in the MAC, like you mentioned, and it is a big showdown.
We've said it before, Craig. We'll say it again. Sometimes it's tougher to win the MAC than it is a state championship. Might be the same true in girls basketball this year.
All right, and speaking of that, tonight's poll question has to do with that very exact factor there, that question, who is going to win the MAC? What's the question, Ken?
A lot of talented girls teams over in the MAC this year, Craig, and the question is to our viewers out there, which girls basketball team has the best chance of winning the title this season? Is it Minster? Minster or Versailles, both undefeated in the league right now, or the Fort Recovery Indians, just one loss, or none of the above? Craig, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be none of the above. I'm going to vote on one of them three for sure.
Yeah, Thursday night's game is going to have a lot to do with the answer to that question. And if you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page, you can scroll down, help us answer tonight's poll question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco or Game Face Ohio, we will have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started talking some SCAL basketball. We're going to start out on the boys' side and some big games on Tuesday night, which shook up the standings a little bit. So let's see where we're at right now.
Yes, they did, Craig. Bokkens and Houston tangled on Tuesday night. Bokkens came away with their first league victory of the night, edging the Wildcats there by 3 points. The other big game of the night saw the middle-of-the-pack teams there. Anna taking on Jackson Center, Craig. Anna's been playing great basketball, and it did not surprise me that they took care of Jackson Center over there. We've said it before. We'll say it again. Ronnie Rocket, the sixth man over there at the over there on Anna, Craig, proved to be the difference once again. But the biggest game of the night, Craig, was over in Pasco at the hangar where the Fairlawn Jets took on the Fort Loramie Redskins, and Craig, the Fairlawn Jets made a statement there that night, taking care of Fort Loramie by a score of 55-34, and giving both those two teams 2 losses in the league now and 1 game in the loss column behind the Russia Raiders, who were actually idle on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I was absolutely shocked at that result. I listened to the game, wasn't there, listened to the game, listened to Jack Kramer calling it on scoresbroadcast.com, and it seemed like Fairlawn was in control for most of that game, and it made me wonder if maybe they're the hottest team in the league right now. But speaking of that, let's bring our sound room guys in, and I want to talk about some of those matchups we saw coming up on Friday night for the boys. 3 big league matchups, 1 non-league matchup. And guys, let's get things started with that first game, Anna at Russia. And Heavy D, I want to ask you about that one. The first time these two played, of course, it was over at Anna. The Rockets, we thought it was an upset of the Raiders. Maybe Rocket fans didn't think that, but Anna had a big game, as Ken mentioned, on Tuesday night. Got a big win with a 3-pointer at the buzzer from Joel Cathcart over there. What do you think? I mean, the Rockets, are they going to sweep the Raiders this season?
The Rockets are tough to beat at home, like you mentioned. They've got the 6th man. We'll see if they bring the 6th man to the game this weekend. Taking away the wins and losses, Nate Barhorst brings his Anna team in at 9-7. Take that all aside. I want to look at Anna's what they've done here in 2017. They've won their last 3 games. They lost their first 4 games of the year in 2017, but that was against Fort Loramie, Marion Local, St. Henry, and Fairlawn, and they lost by an average of only 5 points to those four teams. So don't let that 9-7 record fool you. I'm sure they'll bring their sixth man with them, and it should be a good game. Should be a good rematch.
I think the Raiders have some concern. Wyatt Benson had a big game that first time over there, 28 points, and I think the Rockets actually held Jackson Center on Tuesday night to 8 second-half points, something like that.
Yeah.
So the Raiders are going to have to show up. And Raiders been having their struggles a little bit on Saturday night, played at Minster. Kind of a letdown there, but I don't know, guys. Russia seems to get up for those Friday night, those big games on Friday night. Two of their losses were Saturday night losses. I think the Raiders may turn the tables on Ann and get this one at home.
I think Coach Cardone is going to have his team ready to play. It's senior night over at Russia. I think the Raiders are really going to come out fired up. They know they're in sole possession of first place right now in the league. That's very important, and they're going to hold serve. I think the Raiders will be more than ready to play. Not that the Anna won't give them a challenge. I think it's going to be a very good basketball game, but I think the Raiders come out on top.
All right, let's move ahead, guys, and I'm going to go over to TK. We got our next matchup, Botkins at Jackson Center. Botkins actually picked up their first league win of the season on Tuesday night over Houston. They have a star over there in Luke Bergman, who had 30 points in that game, but Jackson also has a star too, don't they?
Yeah, Craig, of course, you're talking about Brady Wildermuth from Jackson Center. Coming in on getting close on the Jackson Center all-time scoring record. So quite a career he's had, averaging well into the 20s. Again, you said Luke Bergman, also averaging well into the 20s. Jackson, I think they're going to have just a little bit too much. Again, we talk about home court. It is the place to be when you're in Shelby County on a Friday night, and Jackson Center is a tough place to go into. I think they're going to have a little more than Botkins can handle, even coming off of that come-from-behind win. They got a couple more weapons and probably a stingier defense over there at Jackson Center. So I think they're going to keep, if not Luke Bergman in check, the rest of that team in check. And I think Jackson comes out on top on that one.
I kind of agree with TK on that one. But Jackson Center, Craig, who would have thought that they'd be sitting at 3-5 in the Shelby County League right now?
Not me.
3-5, and they've still got to play Fort Loramie. They got to play. They got Botkins, they got Houston, they got Fairlawn yet. So they've got some really tough games left to go. Sitting at 3-5, quite a surprise there for the Tigers.
All right, let's jump ahead to that Fairlawn and Houston game. I'll take this one, guys. Fairlawn, of course, coming off a big win on Tuesday night. Houston coming off a tough loss. The first time these two teams locked horns earlier this season back in December. Fairlawn won big in this one, 64-36. That game, Nathan Lessing actually passed up Andy Francis for Fairlawn's all-time leading scoring record. Of course, last week we all know that he passed up Tom Brandaway for Shelby County's all-time leading scoring record. He's got those things behind him, guys. And we saw what happened on Tuesday night with those distractions behind him. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I think Fairlawn could be the hottest team in the league right now. And, of course, I don't think they have any problem in this game against Houston. I just wonder what they're going to be like going down the road there. But I think Fairlawn, of course, wins easy in this one.
Well, like you said, Fairlawn playing great basketball right now, and I think everybody knew coming into the season that Fairlawn was going to be an excellent basketball team. Not really surprising a lot of people because, they got some size, they got some speed, they got a great backcourt, and, of course, they got Nathan Lessing, the Shelby County League's all-time leading scorer. That all adds up to a good chemistry for a good basketball team. They're not disappointing anybody.
I think one thing that's helped Lessing this year, of course, is the play of Luke Hickman. Had a big game on Tuesday night. He's not a guy that's going to score 25, 30 points in the game, but he's a guy that takes the pressure off Lessing. If you leave the guy alone, he's going to burn you.
Yeah, he's going to knock it down, and he had some big shots against Fort Loramie, and getting also some great play from Keyshawn Johnson, the lightning quick guard. He's always getting a lot of deflections. He causes a lot of havoc on the defensive end of the floor. Really nice pickup for the Fairlawn Jets.
Yeah, like that team a lot right now. In our last game, again, is a non-conference game. We have Triad coming over to Fort Loramie. And Ken, we thought we'd get a chance to see Triad a couple weeks ago when Russia was supposed to play them. Of course, that game got canceled on account of weather. What do you know about Triad for any Redskin fans watching us out there?
Well, like you said, Mother Nature took care of that game for the Russia fans, unfortunately. But, the thing I've heard about Triad is they do have a very big center post player, about a 6'6" guy that can really control. But I think Tyler Siegel will match up with him very well. Fort Loramie's backcourt's going to be way too much for Triad. I look for Fort Loramie to rebound and win in a big way at home against Triad.
Yeah, the Cardinals, of course, play in that Ohio Heritage Conference North Division. I think they're sitting at 4-9, maybe 2-7 in league right now.
Yeah.
Lost to Southeastern on a Tuesday night by a big margin. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Laramie wins easy in that game. All right, Ken, well, let's jump ahead and talk some SCAL girls basketball. We have a few minutes here. And, of course, they got some big games coming up on Thursday. But let's check out the standings right now.
Well, Jackson Center, Craig, sitting at 7-1 in the league, 11-3 overall. Fort Laramie, just a game back in the loss column, as is Russia. Russia's only played 7 league games there. Fort Laramie's played 9, so Russia's got some catching up there to do. They got a tough game coming up here with Anna coming to Russia on Thursday night. It's really a 3-team race there with Jackson Center, Fort Laramie, and Russia. But, the Shelby County League in girls basketball, also very tough this year. You see Bakken sitting there, a very nice team at 12-4 overall. So, hard to tell what's going to happen. Some big games coming up yet.
Well, the game, of course, that interests me on that schedule is Bakken's at Jackson Center coming up. And, Ken, at the beginning of the season, everyone wondered if Bakken's might be the team to beat. They won their first 8 in a row and lost to maybe 2 or 3 out of the last 5 here. Haven't been playing so well here lately. These teams played just a week and a half ago on a Tuesday night. That was a close game, 38-35. Jackson Center came out on top on that one. What do you think? Jackson win this one again, or does Bakken's have a shot?
Well, Craig, I think Jackson's going to win again. I think Jackson with the home court advantage this time around. Bakken has been struggling a little bit, although, like I said, they're sitting at 12-4, but just 5-4 in the Shelby County League. They've got a lot of talent over there. I don't think, they got off to that great start, Craig, early in the year, and, they had a lot of tough games coming up after that 8-0 start, and I think some of their weaknesses got exposed. Still an excellent basketball team. You don't get me wrong, Craig. I think Jackson Center is too much for them on Thursday night.
I disagree with you on that one. That was a low-scoring game a couple weeks ago, 11-9 at halftime, very low scoring. Again, Jackson pulled that one out with Olivia Clark having a big game, 18 points I think she had in that game. Bakken has their own weapons. Paige Lane had a big game that game, had 4 3-pointers, 13 points. But they got so many weapons with, they got 3 or 4 girls that can score on that team, including Sarah Bergman. And I think Bakken's turns the tables on Jackson Center. I'm not impressed with Jackson Center and their low scoring offense. I know they hold teams well on defensively, but I think Bakken's is better than what they've been playing here lately. I see Bakken's winning that game.
Well, Craig, I can hear the Redskin fans and the Raider fans both cheering and hoping that you are correct, because that would really tie a knot into the Shelby County League standings.
Absolutely. All right, Ken, well, listen, that's going to do it for the first half of our show, talking some girls basketball. We're going to talk some more girls basketball, though, here after the break. We're going to step over to the MAC and talk to Versailles head coach Jacki Stonebraker. Stay right there. You won't want to miss that.
Stage at the Leaping Vine. Music starts at 8 o'clock. You can find us here every Wednesday night. It's usually the same cats every week, but I can't tell you all their names. Teacher, cat, and a junkie, all waiting for time to play. Everybody here's got something that we're trying to leave behind. We're all a little broken, for a place to hide. Get no answers, don't ask any questions. We're all here just looking for a high. And we're all beautifully broken here tonight.
Welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. And before the break, we were talking some SCAL boys and girls basketball. Ken, let's step over to the MAC. Haven't talked a whole lot of MAC basketball this year. So let's focus on the girls tonight and take a look at their standings and see where they're sitting right now.
Well, Craig, some powerful teams up there at the top of the MAC standings led by Versailles and Minster, Craig, both undefeated in the league right now. Combined record of 27-3. Just some really good basketball playing there. And Fort Recovery, Craig, just a game back. They've just got one loss on the year, and that was to Versailles. Coldwater, also a very nice team. 2 games back at 12-3 overall. So overall, some very good quality basketball being played there in the MAC girls. And it's interesting to see what's going to happen Thursday night, Craig. Big game over there between Versailles and Minster. And we're looking forward to talking to the head coach of the Tigers, and that's Jacki Stonebraker.
Yeah, we'll get her in just a second here, Ken. And the MAC a little bit different than the SCAL, as they only play the teams once over there, right? Whereas the SCAL plays everyone twice.
That's right. Big difference there where in the SCAL, Craig, you get a home and home game, so you play everybody twice. In the MAC, you only get one shot, so you got to make the best of that shot. And, sometimes it's, you only get it on home every other year. So that, fortunate for, Versailles or Minster here, which team's going to come out on top there here. But, again, it's going to be a big battle on Thursday night.
All right, well, our next guest has been a longtime guest on this show. She was actually one of our first interviews all the way back 6 years ago when we started this show, Ken. She was the head coach of the Versailles Lady Tigers back then, and she's still the head coach of the Versailles Lady Tigers. She's Jacki Stonebraker. Coach, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Hey, well, listen, congrats on the great start so far this season. Your team is 15-2 overall. We just mentioned you're unbeaten in the MAC. You're state ranked number 3 right now. Coach, you've been doing all this for a while, and I know you know what it takes to have success. What do you like about this Lady Tigers team this year?
Well, I just like how well they work together. They don't care who gets the credit, who scores the points, who grabs the rebounds, all the statistical things that you see in the paper. They really like to play together as a team. They encourage each other on and off the floor. Nobody cares to get the credit, and that's what it takes to be a complete team.
Absolutely. You returned 3 starters this year in seniors Camille Watron, juniors Cammie McEldowney, and Danielle Winter. Now, I read back in November where you thought the rest of your starting lineup was kind of a question mark back at the beginning of the season. How did that all work itself out?
Well, we rotated a couple girls early in the season. I kind of settled into defense first, offense second, and that's kind of worked for us with Ellen Peters. She plays very good defense. She can play a guard or a bigger guard or a small guard. And I thought Lizzie Ording was doing a great job guarding people inside and scoring some points for us. She's very athletic. She's a very athletic post. And so I kind of went defense first and then offense second to just to get our team rolling, I guess, at the beginning of the game on the defensive end.
Hi, Coach. This is Ken. Let's talk a little bit about your schedule and in particular the strength of the schedule that the Lady Tigers play. Not only do you go through the gauntlet of playing, the MAC schools, which is very tough in itself, you've also throw in non-league games with, neighbor arch rival Russia. You've got a big home series you always play with the Fort Loamy Redskins. You got Tippecanoe in there. Very, very tough schedule. How does that prepare your team for the postseason and also these tough games like you've got coming up Thursday night against Minster?
It's very important for us. Our MAC schedule is rough and tough the way it is. There's no game that you can take off. But if you can add those other games in the regular season, those non-league games, just so that you're ready to go every game, it's so important. It does prepare us game in and game out to be prepared, mentally prepared, and it gives us different looks at a lot of good things, different offensive sets, different defenses that we can look at to prepare us for the postseason. I've always told the girls from day one of practice, it's not about the first 22 games, it's about the last 8. And these first 22 games are just another highlighted practice that we can have some fun in and learn some things from. Now, of course, you always have a goal every year to win the MAC or to do as well as you can to win. But sometimes losing is a win for you. I feel like our 2 losses are both big wins for us because we learned so much in the end about ourselves from those 2 losses.
Coach, let's talk about the big game you've got coming up this Thursday, and that's your trip over to Minster. Obviously a very good team, very talented team. They suffered their first loss of the season just last weekend. What do you know about this Minster team? What are they doing well, and what's it going to take your Tigers to get out of there with a victory?
Well, I think they're very much like us. I think it's if you look in the mirror, you're looking at another Versailles team. They're quick on the outside. They've got big post presence on the inside. They're drivers first, shooters second, but they play defense first. They trap on defense. They mix up their defenses. And when you've got an athletic post player like Courtney Pranger inside, it just makes your team complete. Rosie Westerbeck does a nice job for him on the outside, looking for Courtney on the inside. But everybody else is learning to play their role very, very well. And it's hard to get settled in to play a good game against them because they're always mixing up their defenses and running something different each time. So, it's going to be a great game. Our girls are excited about it. We're excited about it as a coaching staff. And, right now we want the tip-off to happen.
Coach, Versailles is Division III, of course, Minster being Division IV. But how pivotal is this game for the upcoming tournament draw when it comes to seeding purposes? You got West Liberty Salem also in your sectional. They're sitting at 14-1 right now. Is it a big deal, or are other coaches going to take into consideration the strength of schedule you play, or does it not really matter to you and you're just going to let things fall where they fall and see what happens?
Well, we have two sides of this. We have 3 different brackets we can go into for our sectional. So even if we would not get the 1 seed, we would definitely go away from West Liberty Salem and not seed them to regional. So that's the benefit of our sectional and how it's set up. However, I would always like the 1 seed just to be sure to know what bracket we would like to go into and make sure we get that. And I really do think this is one of those games that if we don't win, we don't get the 1 seed. And if we do win, we have a better chance of getting the 1 seed. We do play some similar teams this year. West Liberty Salem picked up Fort Laramie and beat them. They also picked up Tip City and lost to Tip City. So, we do have those similar games on our schedule, and I think that Fort Laramie loss did hurt us a little bit according to that. But they definitely don't have the strength of schedule that we play in the MAC on top of their out-of-conference games. So I feel like we do have that going for us, but if we can beat Minster, I think it'll give us a better chance to get the 1 seed. But again, I don't think it really matters in the end, as long as we can stay away from West Liberty Salem and do what we need to do to get to meet them in regionals.
Coach, I've got one more question before I turn it over to Craig again. But let's talk a little bit about, just briefly about your younger teams there, the JV team, which I know is just loaded this year, and you've also got a freshman team that is doing very well, playing against a lot of JV girls teams. I hear a lot about the success, how many great athletes you've got coming up through the pipeline. Your JV team scored over 100 points in a game once this year, I heard. That's just unbelievable. Tell us a little bit about those 2 teams and how fortunate you are to have all that young talent getting so much playing time.
I just feel fortunate having the numbers that we have at Versailles. I know there's some programs struggling with numbers, and we have the numbers, and so we're allowed to have those freshman teams and freshman games, and that gives 5 or 6 players 14 more games, 15 more games to get under their belt on top of practicing against the JV, and then the JV practicing against the varsity every single day. So, without those numbers, we wouldn't be able to get that much game experience and that much time on the court. And, they just do a nice job going hard every day, trying to make us better. And in turn, they make themselves better.
Coach, listen, I couldn't let you go without asking you this one last question. But, as fun as your Lady Tigers are to watch, I was actually at the Versailles-Russia game. You have some other entertainment in between quarters. There's about 2 or 3 little girls that like to dance on the court there between the quarters. And I know you're in the huddle during this time, but has anyone made you aware of these little Tiger fans?
Yeah, I've got a couple pictures of them sent to me, dancing in the stands and dancing on half court. They need to have a basketball in their hand while they're doing this, but I think they've got some future in either cheerleading or dancing for sure. They're pretty good at it.
I had actually Pickwood Daily call photographer Mike Ullery asked me, he said, are those Coach Stonebraker's nieces by any chance? I said, I think they are. And he goes, gosh, I've had them in the paper a couple times already, even on the front page. He said, I can't put another picture of them in the paper. So,
Listen, Coach,
awesome.
we appreciate you being on our show with us tonight. Best of luck to you and your team on Thursday as you guys take the trip over there to Minster. And you've had a great run with the girls over there. Keep it up and go Tigers.
Okay, thank you very much.
thanks, Coach. All right, that was the head coach of the Versailles Lady Tigers. And Ken, as you mentioned, they got a not only are they loaded at the varsity level, they've got the pipeline's pretty full, isn't it?
The pipeline is plenty full. So the Tigers they're here this year. They're going to be here next year, and they're going to be very good for many, many years down the road. But Coach Stonebraker does a great job with them over there, and she wouldn't be getting all that participation if it wasn't ran well from the top. And congratulations to everything she's doing over there.
All right, well, let's go back to the sound room and check in with the guys again, Ken. We're going to have TK check on our poll question results tonight. I guess why don't you read the poll question first for our viewers, and TK can check those results out.
For our viewers out there tonight, we asked you which girls basketball team has the best chance of winning the MAC. Is it Minster, Versailles, both teams sitting undefeated right now, Fort Recovery with one loss, or none of the above? TK, what's the telemetrics have to say back here?
Well, it looks like we're picking up a lot of coverage over there by the border because the Friendians are on the website and they're voting. 67% think the Fort Recovery Indians are going to win.
Wow.
It. And 33% say Minster. So
Wow.
I'm not sure how we got all the fans over in Fort Recovery, but somehow we did tonight.
Very good team nonetheless. So
They are a very good
they are
team.
a
We
talented
must be
team.
spreading our airways quite a bit over there near the Indiana border.
It could be Parkway fans over there voting for Fort Recovery, though. Maybe they want that. They're kind of on the border there. And,
That's true.
They might be voting for.
It is a good team that came up just short last year and carried over a lot of starters with a lot of experience. So I don't think they're anybody to overlook out there.
Nope. Well, if you're a Fort Recovery fan, then you got to be rooting for Versailles to win. No, Minster to win, I guess, because you're going to get a shot. You already had your shot on Versailles and you didn't win. So we'll see what happens there down the road.
All right, great stuff, guys. Thanks for that. And do want to say special thanks to our guest, Coach Stonebraker, for coming on the show tonight. Thanks to the viewers out there for tuning in. Ken and I, the crew, will all be back again next week, same time, same place, for another great show. Until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond. For your latest news and high school sports, tune in to the fishing pond. Don't need no bed, don't need no pole when you tune in to the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond.